Welcome, everybody. This is the Emerging Screenwriters interview series, and I am Shayna Weber. And today we are speaking to Yazmin Monet Watkins. How are you?
I am splendid. How are
Good.
you?
Good. Hanging in there, you know?
And finding the joy in between. Yes.
Right. Trying to find the joy. I love that. I think that will be sort of the tone and the vibe, right, of this call. You're very much about finding that positivity and the goodness in the everyday. So let's get into it. First ones are super easy. What are you watching right now, or what are you reading right now?
I am currently obsessed with Forever, Mara Brockakill's new Netflix show. It
I
is,
haven't even heard of that.
I almost want to be like, stop the interview, go watch it
Don't
now.
watch it, come back later.
It's so good. It's spectacular. It's based on a Judy Blume
Oh, okay.
uh, and it's her envisioning of it, and it's gorgeous and it's beautiful from the acting, the writing, the music. Like it is that show, and I literally was up much later than I should have been watching
Yeah.
the show because I could not stop.
It's called
So
Forever.
forever. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I cannot get enough. And I'm currently reading, I'm in a book club
Mm-hmm.
and we're reading Sky Full of Elephants. I don't know if
Heard of
you,
that. I've heard of that. I have not read that one. Is it good?
I'm obsessed with that book as
Okay.
well. I'm like, who's doing the remake? Can I be in it? I want
Right.
like whoever's watching when you do it. Come cast your girl, come bring me on to help with the adaptation. I will write. It's great. It's really, really good. So,
I'm writing that down. So I'm listening on Audible to When the Wolf Comes Home, which is
ooh.
like a horror book. And then the book we're reading in book club is Hello Beautiful, which is good,
Mhm.
but very different vibes.
I'm excited to learn more about both.
Yeah,
This
When the Wolf
question comes
Comes
up
Home is
all the
like it's like a woman finds a 5-year-old boy outside of her apartment, and he's scared and he's running away from his dad, who is like a creature, like a big bad wolf type creature that's like
time.
chasing him. And so she's trying to like keep him safe and people are dying. It's crazy. But then the kid
Wow.
is like, somehow mixed in with this. So that's where I'm at right now.
I want to read it.
Yeah.
I love a
When
good
the wolf comes home. Yes.
sci-
Okay. So let's get on to the second icebreaker question before we start sort of go into like your origin story and your multi-hyphenate story of who you are. Whose career do you look up to, either as an actor or as a writer or in the industry itself, that you look up to that you'd love to emulate?
Yeah, two that immediately come to mind, Quinta and Issa. They both are just powerhouse Black women sharing their stories, making space for all their friends and their
Mm-hmm.
people, telling stories that just feel good, that are delightful to watch. Like, I'm big in the comedy space. I do a lot of improv and also started out sort of in the web series world. So, for both of them, I just see the ways that they have, that they get to write the stories that they want to be a part of and bring their friends along for the ride. So
I love
that's,
that you're on a first name basis with both of those ladies. I love it. I was like, yeah, duh. I mean, and I know who they are just from first name. So great, wonderful. You know what I mean?
and you know who they are. Again, that's what we're emulating. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think my parents did a good job when they named me Yasmin Monet
Yeah.
Watkins. I love it. I didn't even go hold you. I'm like, y'all did that. You did your big one.
Yeah.
And also to know just the first name who I'm talking about.
Yep.
That's what I'm emulating.
I know I'm hoping to be the first, like just one name, Shayna. Just that's it.
It's on the way.
It's
Claim
on
it
the
as
way.
part of
It's
yours.
happening. I'm manifesting that. Okay, so let's dive into your origin story. And that can be like, where did you begin in the entertainment space? Was it acting? Was it poetry? Where did you begin? And then kind of take me through that evolution.
Yeah, so I wrote my first poem and I was in my first play, both in the eighth grade.
Mm.
The poem was about my cat, my cat Tigray, and the play was called The Trial of the Big Bad Wolf. So I was into
Whoa.
serious drama very
Yes.
early. No, I've always loved comedy and I've loved poetry for the space that it has to just like write my feelings, share them, and it's like the immediacy of poetry has always been something that I've been so grateful for. A space for all the feelings. I think for the longest, I was like, I'm just a poet, I'm just an actor. I grew up here in LA, and a lot of folks were also in the entertainment industry. And so I was like, I need to be serious and like started down this path where I thought I was going to be a veterinarian. So I
Ah.
had internships at veterinary hospital. I interned at City of Hope in the lab animal medicine department, like resource department. Like I was fully in my bag. National Organization of Black Chemists and Chemical Engineers. I was science bowling everywhere from like LA to New Orleans. Like I was fully on that track. Um,
Wow.
and then I took a Black feminist thought course my sophomore year. I got a Posse scholarship, it's a leadership scholarship that sent me to Dickinson College. And I took Black feminist thought with Jerry Philogene, and it shifted the trajectory of my life. I was also coming out at that time. We were reading Alice Walker's The Color Purple.
Mm.
And I'm a bi poly Black woman in the world, but in that moment I was coming to terms with my sexuality, and really that course allowed me, and specifically that book, to like embrace myself, find my voice. I started writing more poetry, started performing poetry on campus, and following sort of the things that drew me.
Mhm.
Um, and, our poetry collective is called the Silent Poets. I saw the way that, like, the poems we would perform at the cafeteria, we'd go to the administrators. Professors were starting to invite us to their classes because we were using our lived experience and tying that in with the theory we were learning in class. And those poems, the art that came from that, changed our campus climate. It changed. I remember we did like a sexual assault event, and like sexual assault policies on campus
Yeah.
changed, right? And so I
Wow.
saw very early on in a small microcosm the way that like art and activism really go together.
Yeah.
Um, I started exploring. I shot little short films. I won a film contest on campus that allowed me to go to Brazil to visit my girlfriend who was studying abroad. And I started doing plays at Dickinson. I was the lead my senior year in Machinal, which was like
Mhm.
a 9 act play, and I was on stage the whole time. I was like, oh, I'm an actor. And I graduated. I came back to LA. I had a slew of entertainment internships.
Mhm.
I interned at CAA and learned the business in such a wild way.
Right.
I interned in the ABC talent development department with Tim McNeil, which that was sort of my first entertainment internship, and it came from me like cold calling and being like, "Hi, I'm Yasmin. Like, can I be your intern?"
And it worked?
And his assistant Linda was like, "You have a good vibe," and they brought me onto the
Amazing.
department, and that was sort of my start in entertainment. And I don't know, like I'm like I know this is origin story, but
Keep going.
okay, yay! I'm so happy to share. Thank you for
Let's
wanting.
segue into take me from college into, you move back to LA. When did you first write? When did you decide that you wanted to screenwrite?
Mm. It's so funny. My friend Moni just texted me a picture. I have to show it to you. So, um, I, I came back from Dickinson. I was
Mhm.
going to like every open mic. The open mics turned to features. The features turned to performing at colleges and universities, which turned into like touring the world doing poetry. It's wild. the poetry sustained me through my 20s. It paid me
Hmm.
to like eat and have shelter. And I did not know that that was a thing but as I kept performing, I met other poets who were like, I do poetry. So I was like, I'm a poet. I was doing a lot of web series. I was in two or three of Issa's web series that she
Hmm.
had early days. I was on a site called Black and Sexy TV. Numa Perrier was the beginning of that. And literally, I was doing so many web series, and I remember while I was doing the web series being like, dang, as you get into your characters, as you're justifying it, you're like, oh, like I gotta, like if she's doing this, this is the why. And then I'm in the talking to the writers, like, well, can we like have her? And so like those were moments when I'm like, oh, I really care about what my characters are saying and how they're saying it, and I want to be a part of that process. I started taking improv classes at UCB,
Hmm.
and that really like shifted a lot for me. I have been doing shows there for at least a decade. I started a group called was in a group called Obama's Other Daughters, and we had a monthly show called Black Girl Magic. And
Why did improv specifically sort of like, I mean, it sounds like a lot of things are have opened you up. Why was that something that was like a new?
oh, it was amazing because I never necessarily thought that I was a comedian
Okay.
per se. I took the improv classes, and because I got the scholarship, I was allowed, or I had access to taking the sketch writing classes too.
Okay.
And so I did their whole sketch program, and my friend Moni texted me this picture of our class show. I don't know if you can see it. This is
Nice.
it was called Full Clam. This class was the moment that I was like, oh, I'm a screenwriter.
Oh.
I felt like I had the tools to write and to create. And then I saw actors bring my words to life.
Mm.
And I was like, oh my God. And at that same time, around that same time, maybe like a year later, Paul Downs and Lucia Aniello came to our improv show at UCB. And they were like, you girls are amazing. You should have your own show, and we would love to be a part of it. And we were like, what? Stop it right now. We signed at UTA. We did a digital series, a digital sketch series with Comedy Central, and developed a sketch show.
Mhm.
And then Comedy Central was like, we want a narrative show. And we were like, okay, we are writing a narrative show. And I'm like, okay, I'm writing a narrative show. I'm a screenwriter. And Comedy Central passed, so we brought it over. We brought a new show idea over to Netflix, developed a narrative show with them, and I was just like, oh, I'm a writer, and I got
Right.
things to say. And I started writing short films and wrote my first pilot and wrote a feature. And it's just been such a fun journey. And it's a tool that I have now to share my voice and the things that I care about and the things that bring me joy and that delight me, and that, the ways that I navigate grief and all of it, like
Yeah.
it's it's such a fun tool to use, and I'm so thrilled that I get to like uh write the characters that I want to play.
Well, let's talk about that. Tell me about the characters that you want to play and how you describe your voice and the stories that you want to tell.
The characters that I love talking about are empowered queer Black women.
Hmm.
But especially, I think that journey from like, discovering your voice, it's the journey of like, oh, like we're powerful, we got this, we can do it. I love seeing that. I love stories of women coming together, of sisterhood, of solidarity,
Hmm.
of play. I'm a comedian, so like there's always like it's sometimes
Yeah.
awkward girls. They are, having fun in this life and really modeling that. So, adventurers.
Awesome.
I also, this is such a random aside. In 2019, I got into roller skating.
Uh-huh.
Is like one of the most free feelings that I've ever had. Like, I was skating every day for a minute there. I still skate multiple times a week. Like it is my happiest of places. And somehow in all of the screenplays that I write, there is someone that's roller skating somewhere.
Love it.
And it's so bizarre how that happened. Like the hobby has like really bled into my creative work in a real way. I do stand-up poetry and roller skating now as
Well,
well.
that's how we met you, how Felicity and I met you, is you were at the rap women women
Our Women
Power
Summit.
Women Summit, and you were there to do the opening poetry, right? And we met you in the green room and you had your roller skates on. And Felicity was like, "What is happening?" We were like, "We need to meet this woman." And sometimes, I mean, the weirdest instances, right? And we're like, "We need to know what you're writing and what you're doing." And that's how this relationship began.
I was so like when I tell you, it's funny because I was actually running behind schedule.
Hmm.
Traffic was so bad in Beverly Hills that day
Yeah.
that I literally asked my Uber driver, I was like, or my Lyft driver, I was like, please, I can take it from here. And I put my skates on and I literally skated to the venue so I could get there on time.
Oh my God. You like roll in, you're all sweaty. You're like, "Where do I go?" That's so funny.
Yeah, I was like, whoo, okay. And time to do this poem that I wrote for you guys.
That's
But
amazing.
I really like, I think of the ways that like following your joy really leads you to where you're supposed to be. I'm so grateful that that skating of all things initially brought us together. I mean, this being in this space together was helpful, but like, um, I think whenever you follow your joy, in improv, it's called follow the fun.
Hmm.
um, like magic happens from that, and it's pure serendipity that our paths crossed.
Yeah.
And also, I think it's what is it? Opportunity meets preparation.
Hmm.
I'm butchering the
Something
saying.
like that. I'm like, uh-huh. Yeah, it is.
Like
I know what
all
you
of
mean.
these
Yeah.
things led me to a space where I was like, I'm a screenwriter. You know what I mean? I have scripts. This is what I do. And y'all were like, we're looking for people who write scripts and like have fun stories to tell. And being able to hone my voice in the time leading up to our meeting, and then following the fun, like it's all connected. So I'm just when I think about like what stories I want to tell, what my brand voice is, like
Hmm.
it's very much like we're we're going to have fun, and we're also going to, I mean, I'm a queer Black woman in the world. I can't not, the personal is political. It just
Yeah.
is,
Mhm.
I live at the intersection of race and gender and sexuality. And my personal politics are a part of all of the things. So we will laugh and we will have a good time. And then we will leave and dismantle white supremacist patriarchy. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's a ride. We're gonna have a good time. And yeah. My goal, I hope that like the work that I create makes space for other queer Black women to see themselves, to empower them to be free, more free in their lives, and ideally at some point to like end the carceral state that we live in. I've seen some really powerful work, and seen the ways that like art specifically can be used, for abolition and for making this country, this world a safer place for us. We know that right now it is not the safest. Literally just last night or yesterday, I was roller skating and the police were like harassing this Black man. And I stopped just to bear witness, you know what I mean? To be like, the community is paying attention. I like a couple other people stopped as well. He wound up leaving, and it turns out he's like, hey, we went to Granada, we went to high school together. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, I was just driving. And they like took the keys out of his pocket, they searched him. Like, there are so many ways that this country shows it, like sanctions the violence against us. And so that I can use my art as a vehicle to, help us be more free.
Yeah.
to breathe, to play, to live, because we only have so much time here. Like that's what I want for my art, and I that's how I
Well,
would
how
describe.
do you balance everything? Because I see you on social media and I see how active you are. I won't say busy, I will say active. You're very active and you're always doing something. How do you balance everything? How do you keep yourself, to task when you need to write versus going out and performing and being creative, but also like renewing life so that you have things to talk about?
Yeah. I'd say the performing does take a lot of time or take up a lot of time, but part of it, I really do allow for myself to have space to write. Like even I recently released a book of poems, A Vessel Born to Float. It is out in the world floating. You can kind of see the cover of it here.
Nice. Okay.
Um,
Perfect.
but
Where can we find this? If we go to your social media, is there a
anywhere
link?
Anywhere books are sold, you
Okay.
can find A Vessel Born to Float. You're ideally a Black-owned bookstore, but it's anywhere. Wherever you buy your books, my book is there. I have a really good book agent at WME, Haley Heideman, that's like made sure I found a queer Black editor,
Mm.
Andrews McMeel, and they really took care of me in my process. But when I was finishing the book, I literally was like, okay, I have to write. And
Hmm.
so I like booked myself like a trip to Panama, very random. Astrocartographer was like,
Wow.
either Colombia or Panama will be good places for you. And I finished my book there. When I was writing, I have a pilot about a polyamorous poet in Paris that I wrote, and I finished that pilot in Paris and
Mm.
booked myself like a staycation to like really write. And not to say that I like I only write in fabulous
I know. I was like, dang, girl, I'm just at my desk here in my little office.
but I do lock myself down here sometimes too, especially when I have like a deadline or really need to get the thing out. I love taking I love writing in community. Um,
Mm.
and so taking a class as I'm like going through, I'm very meticulous about like, I have my cards, I have my
Yeah.
outline, you know what I mean? And then I'm like going into the dialogue piece of it. And it's
Yeah.
really
Tell me about
helpful.
your process. You start at cards and
Yeah.
like, does it come ideas and you just jot everything down on cards or like, what do you do?
So I have an ideas tab on my phone. I write a lot on my phone. For a long time, I didn't have a laptop. So
Hmm.
even like the sketches that I was writing, like I was literally doing my writing on my phone, which is like it's wild. Like
Yeah.
in hindsight, I'm like, but that's also like the dedication. I'm like, the ideas are here. I have to write them. And
Sure.
even if I don't, at the time, like there was a leak in my apartment and it spilled on my laptop. And then I was out of a laptop for like 2 or 3 years. Like
Hmm.
I was literally writing on my phone. And I'm really grateful that when I got the development deals and all of that, I was able to like get Final
Yeah.
Draft and get a laptop and all those things. But um, I'm very big on like the ideas will come. I'll write them down on my phone. I'll be
Hmm.
like, this seems like a fun world I want to live in. Or it'll be like something happens, like I'll be inspired by a conversation, a song, a
Hmm.
moment, and then I start thinking, okay, what would the story be? I sort of think through like the larger beats, like where the character begins, where they end.
Right.
And then I'm going into cards and all of that. I've had some really great success in taking classes
Mhm.
or like writing workshops. I took one with Bridget Ryan, and it was just like, I love a supportive environment. I think it's also what makes me, though I have yet to get into a writer's room, I know that I'm uniquely prepared for it because
Yeah.
I love a group setting. I love the immediate feedback of talking to other people, running it by them, going back and writing, getting feedback. I love community from organizing work to writing. It's a huge part of my process of like soundboarding off of other folks. Um, and then once I have the thing written, I
Yeah.
do I workshop it, I have it read out loud, I do a table read series. And I allow myself to be there's sort of like the phase where I'm writing and sort of cocooning. and
Yep.
I'm allowing myself to write, and then I'm allowing myself to be out in the world. So this is my period of like, this is now the sharing time. This is
Right.
let me talk to people, let me meet people, let me perform, let me, gather so that this vision can come to life. So,
In that space, when you're sharing it with people, how do you deal with criticism and rejection or praise also? Like, how do you handle all of that? Like, what is your personal way of dealing with critique?
it's definitely one, I think acting uniquely prepared me for rejection, for better
Right.
or for worse. Like it is one of the most brutal thing. Like it's literally just a part of it.
Yeah.
And the praise is also a part of it, and I do feel really grateful when people are like, "Oh my God, like you did this scene at that improv show and it like killed and I'm still thinking about it." Or, I've done a lot of poetry shows, especially with like at colleges and universities, and this one woman sent me a message on Instagram and she's like, "I got your poem tattooed on my arm." And I'm
Oh, that's the best.
like, it is, I'd say the praise sort of balances out
Okay.
the negative things that can come with being political, with being Black, with all of the things that come with existing. And just in general, the rejection that comes when someone doesn't really like what you wrote. You know what I mean? They can't
Right.
identify or whatever. But at the core of it, whether it's positive, whether it's negative, or whatever is in between, like, um, I'm often connected to my why, my
Okay.
purpose, my like, this is a story that I had to tell. And
Hmm.
it's a story that only I can tell. And especially for the folks that don't get it, I'm sort of like, I'm not writing this for you. Do
Right.
you know what I mean? Like and for better or for worse, it's not going to be for everybody. And I'm okay with that. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like the people who need to, who want to, who are like, that story is what changed me, to the person that got my poem tattooed on her arm. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like someone who's like, I want a daily reminder of my self-worth, of my value, of whatever it was that they saw. Like that's the why.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm
I love that.
specifically writing the stories that like I need as well. Um, like the stories that I wish I had as I was navigating, like the homophobia that my dad really struggled with. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's the way that I'm writing about gentrification, about the ways that like that uniquely impacts me and my
Right.
community, and the ways that we've been forced out of our homes. So
So,
when
how do you
I'm
then deal with the feedback? So, specifically, if you send something off to maybe somebody who's not exactly like you, who understands your world, maybe it's somebody outside of that. How do you handle feedback? What do you do with that feedback once you get it? If it doesn't necessarily align, but you're also looking at it from an analytical point of view. So outside of just like worldview, how do you deal with notes analytically?
Yeah, I definitely consider the source.
Mhm.
That's part of it. But
Mhm.
then, when it's something around structure, when it's like, oh, you could like strengthen this beat, or like, I specifically, I think about this one poem. Poetry and the screenwriting are very similar, but like the moment that's coming to me, and I do improv, so I'm just following it.
Yeah.
Um, is I remember, so during National Poetry Month, poets every month write a poem and they post it.
Okay.
National Poetry Writing Month. And I had a poem that I posted, and one of the comments was like, that last, like you could go further,
Hmm.
like expand it or whatever. And in doing that, I'm like, it went from like rotting fruit to like fermenting on a fridge shelf well past its expiration. You know what I mean? Like there are ways that like there are notes that I'm open to the notes, on
Yeah.
like, please like share more, expand. And I'm really grateful for those. I found with writing with Paul and Lucia, I mean, the development process is no joke. And literally turning in, here's the draft. And then they go over it and they're like, okay, we need you to fix this, X, Y, and Z, say more about this, whatever. They'd
Mhm.
send it back, adjust those things, send it to them. They would be like, yes, you did it. It would go to the network. The network would be like, okay, we need you to do X, Y, and Z, change this, whatever. And then
Yeah.
they'd send it back, and then there'd be that adjustment, and then back to Paul and Lucia, and then they would send it. So like I recognize that like the feedback is important to make a project really shine its brightest. Um, Even performing, I have a one-woman show, which I'll talk. I know you like
Yes.
asked. There's like I'll share more later, but like in that process, even performing it, you can hear like, okay, here are the laughs. Okay, here are places that I could like tighten that joke up.
Tell
There's
me about the one woman show.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Since
like
we're right on that, tell me.
it's called A Vessel Born to Float. It's based on my book.
Okay.
And I got a artistic fellowship to do the one woman show at Waco Theater for the first time last summer. And it was the first time that I've been able to blend the worlds. For the longest, I was like, I'm just an
Yeah.
actor, poet. And even, when I started screenwriting, I was like, my entertainment stuff is over here and my poetry is over here. And I did comedy and poetry in the same show.
Nice.
And it was amazing. Like being like witnessing the ways that like people were like laughing at the jokes and then like feeling the feels with the poetry. And I'm like, the laughs, the tears, like all powerful.
Yeah.
Um, like it was such a beautiful experience. It gave people time and space to play as well. I gave them bubbles. So like usually at poetry shows, people are like snapping or,
Yeah.
and I'm saying like in this case, it was like blow bubbles. Like if
Oh,
you
that's fun.
something like, like and you can hum, you can clap still, but like blow bubbles. And there was one guy who came and he's like, I haven't blown bubbles in 50 years. And I was like,
Oh.
yeah,
Blow
like
bubbles.
uh and it's like the small ways, like I don't know, I want people to come to my shows, to my screenplays, to my art,
Mhm.
and feel permission to play, to feel like they have permission to play, to feel, to be tapped in. Um, yeah,
Is
like
it
these
still
are,
going? Is your one woman show still going? Or have you moved on to other sort of like iterations of that? Or what are you doing now? What's next?
yeah. So I actually just got an email. I can't commit to the whole summer,
Mhm.
but like you're literally the first person I'm telling. Like, I am gonna do a week of my one woman show at Edinburgh.
Yay!
August. I
Wow.
got invited to share at like one of my dream venues, and I'm gonna bring the show there. So I'll probably do it once or twice in LA before I
Mhm.
go. Um, but I'm really ecstatic. My dream in a dream world, this one woman show, it would become I'm a firm believer that like poetry could be on a Netflix special, a
Mhm.
Hulu stand-up special. Like it- it's it's just where it's time,
Yeah.
And so I would love to have my one woman show be on a Netflix, on a Hulu. I'd love to record it with a live audience on a yacht. It's called a
Oh,
vessel. Boat.
okay.
Just
Love that.
having
Let's manifest this. This is amazing on a boat.
love to
Yes.
perform it on a boat. And we get to like I got scuba certified recently. This is part of the life living. I got
Yes.
scuba certified, so like maybe we would like swim and then come back up and like I'd like flip my hair and then I'd be like in the show. And part of the new iteration, because I had a sprained ankle when I first did it, will have
Mm.
skating in it as well. And so it'll have poetry, skating, comedy. Um, and that's, what is next for Vessel Born to Float, the stage play. But there's just, I mean, I have a feature that I need to make, and that I'm like, I really appreciate you all helping me bring to life Nuns with Guns, passionate.
Hmm. Yes.
And so I'm actually I have a meeting today to work through like a social media strategy on it and
Cool.
how we can sort of introduce some of the characters, maybe get the audience that comes to my social for joy and all of that to like
Mhm.
consider.
That's really
I know.
interesting. I think just bringing in social media to your projects, even if it's in script form, how how do you think that that is shifting and like changing maybe the way that things get made? Because that's a really cool idea to introduce characters or do something through social media to try to get an audience, because now it's all about how many followers, and even as a writer or as a creative, that does matter. Unfortunately, it does matter. But how are you doing that? Like, what is I love that that's a new strategy for you in terms of that script. I think that's amazing. I want to hear more.
Uh, my mom used to say, keep throwing mud at the wall and eventually
Yeah.
you'll stick. And I am really just in a period where I have to make the things that are in my head.
Awesome.
And poetry allows me to like perform it pretty immediately and it's out there. I don't have to hire the DP or the director or get the studio to sign on, you know. And with the screenwriting, it's so much harder. I
Yeah.
mean, years of development just for the network to be like, we don't want to do it,
Yeah.
or like we're changing directions, or the person gets fired, or a strike happens that takes you out for however long. And so I really have been thinking about like, how do I share these things that I really care about, that I spend so much time on, that I want to put into the world. And so I've seen just social makes a difference,
Yeah.
whether it's, I remember I got feedback from the Blacklist when I got my first 8, and I was like, oh my God, like I got this like feedback, and like I shared some, like even just trying to be like, let me share some of like my practice. So it'll be like, here are some notes that I got on my script, and then people were like, oh my God, I want to see that,
Yeah.
or thinking through just the strategy behind it, like sharing
Hmm.
both the process of writing, the, feedback, the hurts, the highs, the lows,
Yeah.
but like inviting people to be a part of that process so that hopefully the people who are like, oh, how many followers? I mean, it's
Yeah. I know.
not even about it's just ideal worldview. I'm sharing part of my process. I'm sharing,
Yeah.
the journey. I really look at social as a way to document some of the things that are happening. And so at the very least, it's like this is documentation. This is proof that I was here. We'll see
Very
what
cool.
it leads.
Yeah. You'll have to keep us posted.
For the viewers watching, if you got a smooth 10 million, I got a feature.
Yes, reach out. Reach out. Well, let's wrap this up with, I like to end with sort of the advice part. So if you could give your younger creative self any advice, what would you say?
If I could go back in time and be like little Yaz with the straight hair, uh,
Aw,
stop perming your hair. That shit's terrible.
right, me too. Yes.
And I would say like really embrace yourself, like find that love for you, um,
Hmm.
because someone told me once, like the world is waiting for you with a brick, and that's so cynical, but like people are really going to come for your light. They're really going to try to dim it. They're really going to try to tell you you're not enough. You don't deserve to be here. Your story doesn't matter, and it does. It really does. And it is the stories that you tell will help free someone else. So it's really important that you um, stick to it.
I love that. I think that's a perfect way to end the conversation. I don't think we can anything end it better than that. So thank you, Yasmin, for the chat today, and stay tuned for the next interview.
Yay, thanks for joining me. Come find me on social.